afternoon. Sharing doesn't come naturally to me. I think that's probably true of many of us, particularly if we're competitive. So if I'm playing a golf tournament and the day before it begins, I make a slight adjustment to my putting stroke, which means I just can't miss from anywhere. I've got two options. One, tell all the other players so that they can try it too. The other is to keep it to myself. And although I'd love you to think I'm a really nice guy, I can assure you I'm not going to share my secret with anyone. Not even my daughter. Well, I don't think she'd be that bothered. Not before her third birthday anyway. So, in some ways, I guess I can relate to Evelyn Waugh. It's a well-known story, revealed in his son's autobiography, that when the first consignment of bananas crossed U-boat-free waters after the Second World War and reached the UK, the newly elected Labour government decreed as many children as possible should experience the treat of their very own banana, which meant that 3 bananas made their way to the Waugh household. Evelyn, father of 3 children, not bananas, thought otherwise. He brandished all 3 bananas, not children, while his children sat salivating, and then one by one he ate all 3 while his children watched on. Okay, so I'm not that bad, and I can't believe any of you are either. Are you? There's probably 2 reasons for that. One, there was no excuse, competitive or otherwise, for his selfishness. And 2, he let down those who trusted him most, his family. In most cases, we justify our selfishness through our need to compete. Competitiveness drives us forward. It leads us to cling to a USP, whether that be a putting grip, the secret to climbing the first page of Google, or sourcing a new business-changing piece of technology. I've been selfish in all of these ways, and I've been proud to be so. I started a business on my own, and it grew, or so I thought, through my drive and competitiveness. And I guess my selfishness. So I still find it a little odd that I'm now known in some circles as the bloke who shares stuff for free, which I'm pretty sure is the reason I'm actually stood here today. I'll keep this as simple as I can, and I promise to try and not sell you anything. My business helps retailers become successful global brands. So if you're selling blue widgets locally and believe there is a latent demand for blue widgets globally, we build e-commerce solutions to make it happen fast. If you're interested, we use an open source platform called Magento. And we were doing okay. I was managing a few busy developers, our clients were happy, the phone was ringing, and I put that down to my competitive edge over the competition. We were clearly doing something right, and I was keen to keep it that way. More importantly, I was keen that no one else would be able to do it just like us. I wanted us to keep growing, to keep winning. It was at that point someone in the team had the idea to run a conference. I think it might have been me. So I gathered the team, we brainstormed how we'd make the conference great, we collected ideas, we even constructed a potential agenda. At which point I drew breath. I realised we were creating the world's worst conference. It was all about us, me. A nightmare, particularly if you know any spoiled children. Case studies boasting about how we were growing and what work we were trying to do. Panels chaired by us, with the sole intention to sell anything to anyone that would listen. That night when I drew breath, it was a Friday, I put myself in the shoes of someone who'd been invited to my conference. What a depressing thought. The equivalent of going on a date and spending hours listening to someone tell you their entire life story without even pausing for breath to check if you're listening or even awake. So we decided to go away and think about how, if we were going to have a conference, we could actually make it the slightest bit interesting. And it was at that point that I had my Kevin Costner moment. And as you can see, there's a couple of thousand reasons why Kevin and I are not mentioned in the same sentence. But he heard a voice say, "Build it and they will come." I felt something similar. Namely, if we organise a conference that's genuinely useful to the people we invite, they might actually come and even enjoy it. So my transition began from a blinkered competitive animal into something a little more collegiate. We made the event not for profit. We invited experts in our field to share secrets and ideas. We even invited our competitors. We invited our clients. In fact, we did the opposite of everything which I had ever stood for. And when the tickets had been sold and the speakers had been booked, I suddenly got the fear. What am I doing? I'm inviting our rivals to a conference to tell them what we're doing. They're going to meet our clients. I'm mad. Back in the office, we've got a ping pong table, and I will do anything within my powers to beat anyone that fancies a game. Even during exam time at school, I'd cover up my answers so that the guy next to me couldn't see, even though my answers were usually wrong. In short, I was finally dropping my guard and petrified about what might happen next. So what changed? Why did I make that decision to care and share rather than to fight and hold tight? It could have been a clever, subtle marketing strategy. Pretend to care and people will share back. But it wasn't. I still don't quite know why I did it. I'm not sure. But subconsciously, I knew that I was doing something quite important. I was redefining my community. Community is why we are here today. And it's not just our subject. We're all part of a TED community. And I realise now, the narrower our definition of community, the less likely we are to succeed. To explain further, let's return to my golf club for the perfect example of how not to do it. The club is run by a very small community of people who sit on a committee, and a few who want to sit on it with them or instead of them. Their community worries about keeping the club exclusive, about keeping people in jeans out of the bar, about keeping beginners off the course, about keeping the perks for themselves. They justify this by explaining it's their payback for years of service. But one could argue it's the end result of a lot of selfishness. As a result, our club is dying, as are so many. because they are run through the self-interest of a very small community. Imagine if our club broadened its outlook and worked in the best interest of an entire golfing community on behalf of the young players, new players, equipment suppliers, professionals and the rest. They would encourage them all to share their course and clubhouse. The place would change for the better. For the end user, the golfer. As a result, the game would flourish. The golfing community would benefit, including the clubs within it. But our club has got stuck with a small community whose effect is not only negative, but is killing the very thing that they love. For many of us, community goes no further than our back wall. Within it, a family, perhaps of 4. In Evelyn Waugh's case, community seems to have had a membership of 1. And however much he enjoyed his children's bananas, his behaviour had negative ramifications on the entire Waugh family. Imagine the impact if Evelyn had shared. His son, Aubrey, for one, might have trusted him. And as he grew older, his children might have given more back. They might one day have had bananas to share with him. Or at least visited him more as he grew older. Which brings me back to my conference, or our conference. It was a sign. We'd broadened our community, which was once limited to just our team, but now extended to everyone in and around our shared platform. Selfless? Or stupid? I wasn't sure. Particularly when we sold 180 tickets in year 1. And I feared that everyone might still run off with my secrets. What actually happened was a nice surprise. Sponsors approached me about our next event. I started to receive invitations to meet people all over the world, which, as you can imagine, went down absolutely brilliantly with the missus. A chap in Italy contacted me about running a conference, or working with him on a conference. We helped him set up a conference in Milan. A new business didn't come rolling in at first, but things changed. It became easier to recruit. Senior people were enticed by the business that organised that conference. Clients started to mention it in meetings, and then the referrals began. Our business pitches now mention a section on our work in the wider e-commerce community. And that community continues to grow, as does the platform that supports us. They have benefited from the great publicity and new relationships. Interestingly, one of their competitors, a platform with a more competitive approach, is dying, just like our golf club. I wish I could say I had a vision that this would all happen, but I'd be lying. I wish I could say I've finally found my natural giving side, but I'm still a complete nightmare to play ping pong against. But what I can say, that by ceasing to focus exclusively on myself and my business, I was able to foster a community. We share ideas, we push each other forward. As a result, we all do better. And I'm not the quickest, and maybe I'm just replicating the social media model of self-help groups and idea sharing, but I can say I'm a happier person, whilst my business is more fulfilling and fulfilled. A good man who is here today introduced me to the universal life cycle. It's all about words beginning with C. and you can say them all in front of your mum. Stage 1 has a single C, compete. I went through that competitively and aggressively. Stage 2 has 2 C's, control and conform. It's when things start to slow down and people like me get impatient. Stage 3 has 3 C's. That's when we become more connected, collaborative, and start to contribute. That's when things start to fly. But my take, for what it's worth, is that things really start to change for the better when we embrace the 4th C, community. Nowadays, when I tell my little girl that sharing is caring, I'm actually able to walk the walk. But if you're asking for the secret to my putting grip, let's just say my community spirit has a little way to go. Thank you very much.